Alright, seems like we are ready. Coming up next is going to be The Messenger by Miinfin. Take it away.
Hey, how's everybody doing today? Like I said, my name is Miinfin. I speedrun The Messenger. I also speedrun most indie platformer Metroidvania type games. Joining me today, because I cannot commentate and play the game to save my life, is Samurai, who is a moderator and fellow speedrunner. Samurai, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey everybody, Samurai Udansha. Everybody calls me Samurai. We're going to be doing an amazing run here. This is one of my most favorite games I've ever played. If you're not familiar with this is a 2D platformer game. And you'll get to see this whole run because we're going to be doing any percent. Ideally, this will take just under 2 hours to do. If he has a few hiccups, might go a little over 2 hours, but I'm expecting good things from Miinfin here.
Right. So, time will start once we accept the name, which there were just enough characters to represent the man himself. Only Kid. Their name is in here. And yeah, so this run will be a tribute to Kid. So we'll get going, and we'll count it down. So when I say go, we'll be good to go. You ready, Sam?
Go ahead, let's get going.
All right, so here we go. In 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Alright, so starting off here, Ninja Village is more or less, you could consider it an auto-scroller, even though technically it's not scrolling itself. But just because you can't die, the whole purpose is just to move forward, and as long as you don't slow down at all, there's not a lot of big time saves in this stage. But one of the first things you will notice coming up here in just a moment is that Miinfin's going to need to do what's called a cloud step. What that does is, whenever you attack an enemy or an object, such as a lantern here, it will grant you the ability to jump again in the air. And how you know if you're able to do another jump is if you have the little white lines under your feet. So if you'll pay attention, a lot of times you'll see him jumping up and swiping lanterns and everything, and you'll see those little white lines appear. That's how you know that he can continue jumping, and you can theoretically cloud step infinitely as long as you had the resources. So in this case, we have the Western hero coming in to save the day because the demon army came and invaded the Ninja Village. So the Western hero is a story that's been passed down through the generations, and Ninja finally gets to meet the Western hero. Hands Ninja a scroll and tells him to go to the top of the tallest mountain. So that's what this first roughly 25%, it's about a quarter of the game. He's making his way to the top of that mountain. Now we're coming into Autumn Hills, and this is actually the first part where you actually get to see some action.
We got our first actual, advanced tech called Turtle Boost coming up here in about 3, 2, 1, and slap.
Yeah, it does save a little bit of time over the course of the run. If you're able to do effective turtle boosts, you can easily gain 10 to 15 seconds in this beginning portion of the game. But then again, if you don't do them quite right, they will actually slow you down. So you kind of have to pick and choose your battles sometimes. But right now...
Yeah, because you'll do something like that where you completely screw it up.
Yeah, we're heading to the shop now, and you see the counter in the top right corner says 42. He needs 40 of those to begin with here, because he's able to get a power-up that allows him to slash projectiles that can either A, clear out the way for him so he doesn't get hit, or B, give him a cloud step. So we try to use both to our advantage.
There was an effective turtle boost for once.
Oh yeah, it was really nice.
Now this is the area where we like to tell everybody, think right thoughts. Apu.
Think right thoughts. Oh, nice.
We got it.
So,
we got it.
When he jumped into that spike pit, it can either launch you to the left or to the right. And it really depends on where your sprite makes contact with those spikes, and depending on how it hits, you'll either go left or right. There's no real way to control it other than to just hope that you can get a really consistent jump there. It's a very reset heavy point for some people, especially really good runners, because it will lose you about, I'd say about 4 to 6 seconds, depending on how quickly you go through.
Yeah, it is somewhere around there, and depending on the category, like 8-bit covers just this first portion that he was talking about till we get the top of that mountain. It's a really short thing, so when we get it, or if we don't get it, we reset. Since this one's such a 2-hour run, I'm fine with 4 to 5 seconds. I might be able to make it up later.
Yeah, now that's exactly right. I mean, with this game, there's around 30 different categories on the leaderboard. So depending on how you like to play and how long you like your runs to be, we have runs on the leaderboard everywhere from 6 minutes to, 2.5 hours. It just really depends on what kind of run you like to do. And you will notice too that this is referred to as any %. Now, there's not a lot of glitches in this, but we don't actually divide our leaderboard up by glitchless or glitched, like a lot of different leaderboards are. In our case, we actually divide it up based on out of bounds or no out of bounds. So you will see some minor glitches in this run. Not too many though, because this is the no out of bounds run. The out of bounds run is just really crazy when you look at it, because there's a lot of times you can't tell what somebody's doing because they're off screen navigating around, doing stuff that you have no idea what kind of inputs they're really doing. Whereas this is pretty straightforward. You're just trying to make it through as quickly as possible.
Now, if I remember right, I want to say that one of the people helping run this event, TGH, actually ran out of bounds for a little while. He can probably confirm or deny that, but I want to say he probably ran out of bounds once or twice.
Yeah, and it's wild to watch, but some of those blind oob jumps that you have to do, oh my goodness, it's some of those jumps are really difficult. So
yeah, I
kudos
don't
to those
bother
oob
with
runners,
out of
because I
bounds.
don't know how they do it. Alright, so we're coming up on the first boss here. We like to refer to it as the Leaf Golem. So here, what Miinfin just did is he actually purchased the Shuriken upgrade in the shop, and what that allowed him to do is get 3 extra shots in. So the way that you do it is you just basically start mashing the attack button and you go running straight up to the boss, and as soon as that first hit happens, you duck down, throw 3 Shuriken, and keep slashing at the same time. If you miss any of those slashes or any of those Shuriken, then you will not one-cycle that boss. Like, the timing comes out perfectly every time, but you do lose quite a bit of time if you have to do a 2-cycle.
Yeah, 2-cycle's not fun. Hey, Necro.
Yeah, but oddly enough, I have seen some world records with the 2-cycle there, so it can still be done, but it definitely loses a
Didn't
good bit of
2C
time.
have that for a while?
Oh yeah, absolutely. On the
Tackle there
8-bit
was
run
way
as
off. I
well.
have no idea why.
Alright, so we're on the
Cycle
catacombs.
and stuff.
Yeah, exactly what Miinfin was getting at. This is heavily cycle based, so if you get off beat even one little bit, it's very easy to miss a cycle, and then you're losing time. It's forced time, so.
Whoa! Why didn't I just jump off the wall? That was fun. At least I didn't die. Alright. Ow, that's not what I want to do. Why did I do that?
Everything's moving along really nicely for Miinfin right now. The only thing that he's really having to concentrate on, other than the cycles and making sure he doesn't die, is he does have to try to pick up as many of those yellow, orange-colored time shards, because he needs the money. He needs to have 275 of those by the time he gets to the next shop. So he does have a couple of levels before he gets there, but he has to make sure that he's collecting as many as he can along the way without losing time.
Yeah, there's routes and stuff we take to try to make sure we get them. Some people play a little risky and only get things in very specific spots. I do banker strats because I try to make sure I'm a little over sometimes, because you never know when you're going to die in an 80% run.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and that's the last thing you need, because the problem is that if you die, you don't get to gain any additional time shards for a while, and when you're speedrunning, you can't afford to lose that many time shards.
Oh, wow, I didn't even get a chance to press jump and bonk my head.
So Miinfin was just trying to do a cutscene skip. We call it the badonk skip. Basically what it is there is a trigger box in the bottom right corner of this room that if you can avoid hitting that trigger box, then you can completely bypass this cutscene. You won't have to fight those 3 whiz robes, and you can just keep going through the level. It does save roughly about 8 seconds or so, and that's actually a pretty common theme in this game. There's a lot of things that save about 8 seconds. It's kind of a community meme at this point.
But yeah, no, so I missed one of the throws. I had to go chase down the whiz robe. That's... Monster Vader, make our way up. We got Balls of Steel coming up soon. Okay, off that wall, please. Alright. See if we can get around this spike wall without dying. That was close!
That's a clinch moment every time, because the thing is that he could have gone a little bit slower and still been able to make that cycle, but if you can do that move that he did by dodging around that spike ball, that saves you that little bit of extra time, and it's definitely a lot of swag. But if you get hit by that spike ball, it's instant death. So he did very well by avoiding it.
First bit of RNG in the game. Outside of the wizards. Excuse me.
Yeah, our good old pal Ruxton. He either starts at the high platform or the low platform, and either way, it's not a drastic difference in time if you can play it well, but it's RNG, 50-50 shot, and you'll save, once again, about 8 seconds if you get high Ruxton over low Ruxton.
Mm-hmm. Bonk. Alright, Bamboo Creek. So the speedrunning group that does Messenger is called the Bamboo Boys or Bamboo Crew, and it's partially because of this level. We even have a theme song. I just don't know the words.
Chinese food is good for you. I like to eat Chinese food, and Chinese food is yummy too. If you like me too, you will bring me Chinese food because it is so yummy. Did I mention I like Chinese food? So, I missed the first couple of words there because I missed the cue, the audio cue, but that is actually officially canon lyrics to this song. The person who created the music for this game, Rainbow Dragon Eyes, came up with those lyrics. So we kind of adopted them as our own in the speedrunning community, and some of our more intrepid speedrunners like to sing it every time they go through this level. I'm not much of a singer though. That was a rare occasion that you got that out of me.
Yeah, I usually have to have the lyrics pulled up somewhere because I don't have them memorized.
Oh, after seeing...
Now, this part is not out of bounds.
Ooh, nice one tile save.
And, well, it's actually death.
I think mine came from seeing so many Kyle Berry streams.
Purple skip.
Alright, so what he just did here is he started back to title screen and reloaded, because what normally happens in this game is when you die, a little red creature known as Quarble comes out, and Quarble saves your life, and his fee is that he steals your time shards, basically. That's what I was saying earlier, that if you die, it's that red creature right there, Quarble. So if you actually quit out and go back to the menu and come back, Quarble is not actually there to eat your time shards. So what this is basically just a quick and easy way to make sure you're not falling behind on your shard count. It'll actually save you more time by putting out to the screen than trying to actually get more time shards.
While we play all kinds of safe right here, because I apparently cannot do the tree jump.
Oh, believe me, I understand. I've lost so many runs to the tree jump there before.
Well, let's see if we can make it up with N2 skip. Whoa, alright, timing's off. Nope, alright. One tile have been my bane lately.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty difficult skip. We refer to it as the N2 skip, where if you can get the timing just right, you can do a one-tile jump off of the edge of that platform. It's never a given. It's actually one of the more difficult tricks in the game, to be honest. So much so that people have devoted countless hours trying to find alternate strats to get through the room, and it's a lot of work for one little piece of the game. Alright, and Miinfin had a couple little hiccups here in this level, but he's coming up to the end. So he's already got 275 shards, or excuse me, 270. He only needs 5 more, which he has now. So he's good. Coming up into the next level, he'll be going to the shop again to get a new upgrade, as well as purchase a few new items.
Yep. There's a few areas like here in Howling Grotto to where we are forced to go in a shop because we get a story-based upgrade because we cannot continue without it. In this one, we get the wingsuits. Autumn Hills, we got the grappling claws. And we will get one that literally breaks the game later.
Oh yeah, that's coming up in just a couple more levels, but for right now, the wingsuit, while it does not allow you to fly, it does allow you to float. And the great thing about it is you see those wind streams there. If you deploy your wingsuit, you'll actually float up through the air, and we definitely try to use that momentum to our advantage a few times throughout this run.
Ow. Let's see if I can get DK skip. I've been 3 for 3 the last few runs, so let's see if we can get it. Coming up in the next room.
And what Miinfin's talking about here for a DK skip is if you notice the layout of the room, it goes back and forth, just like on the original Donkey Kong. If he goes fast enough, you can actually bounce through that saw, and you can skip this saw blade. Nice, he got it. It doesn't save a lot of time, but if you get stuck behind that saw blade, then you do lose a few seconds just waiting on it to get out of the way. So it's something, one of those little small things, but in this game, those 1 or 2 seconds add up quickly.
Yep.
That's what I love about this game, is there's not really one strat or one big trick that saves all the time in your run. It's just being consistent and getting all the little things. And so it's a very welcoming speed run. It's one that's very easy to get into as a beginner because you can practice these strats as you go, and eventually they'll just all come together and you'll be one of the top runners. So definitely worth checking out if you have any interest in trying to learn this game.
Yeah, because I'm doing probably it's the second longest category, because 100% is really the only one that's longer. But we have some that are between, if you're top runner, 29 minutes all the way up through to about 40-something minutes for linear.
That's just in the no out of bounds.
And then new game plus
category,
modes.
Because, yeah, our quickest run is about 6 minutes on one of the out of bounds categories. 6 minutes.
Yeah, the out of bounds categories are just a little out there. Especially if you do the any percent out of bounds, new game plus, and you're just like, yeet to the end.
Alright, so we're coming up here on another boss. It's called the Emerald Golem. What Miinfin has to do is actually count to 7. You want to hit that center heart piece 7 times, and then run out to the edge and throw a shuriken at it for an 8 hit. What the 8 hit does is it allows you to go up to the top and hit the head until you have to go back down and repeat the process. Under normal circumstances, if you don't use the shuriken trick that Miinfin's doing there for that 8 hit, the best you can normally get is a 3 cycle, whereas if you do it the way Miinfin just did, you get a nice 2 cycle, and you can move on to the second phase.
That was a lot faster than I thought. I had to get a double hit somewhere.
It was a really good kill. So now you fly down here and you start talking to the Emerald Spirit, and you find out that the Emerald Spirit was just there digging, wasn't trying to cause any harm, and you killed his golem. So after he sees that Ninja disappears, he has to give us a little bit of a cry. Oh.
I love that music. I really like it in 16-bit, which we'll get to later.
Yeah, we'll get to that twist in just a little bit. So there's not a lot going on in this level. There's no new upgrades or anything like that. It's really just try to make it through as quickly as possible. There's the longest room in the game coming up here. We call it the right room, where the goal is to just keep moving right the entire time.
Unless you turtle boost, then there's some left movement. Ow. Like that.
Well, ideally, any right forward movement would negate any of your left movement, so... But you're right.
This room also has 2 checkpoints, and we skipped them both. Well, we skipped the second one. I don't know what to say. I don't need no stinking checkpoints.
Whatever you gotta do to keep moving forward. Stay out of that quicksand. It slows you down way too much.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go ahead and take a moment now and make sure that everybody out there knows that the soundtrack to this game is amazing. While this song in particular isn't what made me think about that, now that we have a little bit of time to mention it, please, pay attention to the music in this game. If you don't know who Rainbow Dragon Eyes is, check him out. Give him a follow. He actually streams on Twitch. He does a lot of music production on Twitch. And he's working with Sabotage Studio again on their second upcoming game, Sea of Stars. And the soundtrack of that's sounding even better than this one. So definitely want to give a shout out.
That was
to
almost
Rainbow
a 3-hit
Dragon
bully room.
Eyes.
Jeez. Now we're coming to the part where some jumps and timing come in handy for us to move fast without slowing down.
Yeah, this room right here can be pretty scary sometimes because of that spike platform right there. Depending on your timing, I've seen people get crushed, jump straight into the spikes. I mean, it's a bad place to die as well, because if you're doing a no reset run, you're guaranteed to lose at least 30 to 40 seconds. It's not a good place to die.
It's not. Especially considering the most recent checkpoint is about 4 screens back.
Alright, and ideally on this fight here, we're fighting the Queen of Quills. We're trying to keep her off the rings as much as possible, because if she's up on the rings, you just have to wait. She throws the seeds out across the screen and everything. It's a very slow process. But if you can do what Miinfin
And that
did
was
and
the
keep her off the rings
best
as much as
whip-up.
possible, you can get a really nice cycle there.
That was probably the best whipless I've ever had.
Yeah, that was very nice. So basically, he was just able to do a 2-cycle fight, for lack of a better term. You can't do a 1-cycle, or at least not that I'm aware of. Not on New Game. New Game Plus maybe, but not this mode.
Alright, so remember how I said something about that we get an item that breaks the game? That's the rope dart. It makes you go fast, and it does funky things in the game. Not to be confused with hook shots or grappling hook. It's the rope dart.
Yeah, and it's funny too because you would think that everybody would call it like a grappling hook or something like that, but the entire community refers to it as a rope dart. So he's going to try to use this rope dart to his advantage every chance he can. He's going to try to rope dart walls. He's going to rope dart lanterns because it does give you a really nice speed boost, and it is worth throwing as many rope darts as you can. One of our favorite sayings in the community is rope dart everything. That's basically, once you get the rope dart, that's your primary goal, is to use it as much as possible.
Now we're coming up to the first actual glitch in the game that we use the rope dart for. It's called leashing. Normally, enemies cannot follow you outside the screen you're on. First try leash, that's amazing. Well, if you manage to start a rope dart, but before the rope dart connects the enemy that you're targeting and you get hits, it's still rope darted. So I literally leash it into another screen. Oh, that was such a quick leash, too. Holy crap.
Yeah, that was really nice because sometimes, depending on how well you do it, I've seen it take 10, 15, 20 attempts on speed runs, even from higher level runners. It can definitely be time consuming and cause you to basically blow a run. But Miinfin did really well by getting it on the first try. We'll probably see it at least. Yeah, I don't think you're going to do the lantern strat on Elemental Skylands, so we'll get to see it again, but he'll probably be using a whiz robe on the next one of the little flying wizards, but you'll see how that one works when we get there.
Yep. Yeah, that one usually takes me about 3 tries to get. It's a little bit more difficult to pull off. Ow, I just decided to jump straight into spikes. That's fantastic. Let's do this the backup way. And now we come to RNG the boss.
Oh yeah, our friends Kolos and Susis, and he's absolutely correct. This boss has pretty much the most RNG in the game. There are several different patterns that they can do, different attacks, and you just basically have to suffer at whatever they decide to throw at you. Like this one right here, we call it the Susis Spin Ball. You can get a lot of hits in on this attack, but it's so time consuming, so we try to avoid those. We want the short ones as much as possible. Ones like the rock throw that Susis is currently doing right now. Kolos also has a rock throw. That's a really ideal one. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that the point at which they tag out back and forth is when their hit points drop or, well, exceed 10 from each other. So let's say if Susis has 50 hit points and Kolos has 35, then they're going to tag out so that way they can try to keep their hit points a little bit more balanced. But if you can do it just right, you can one-cycle them, but it does take a lot of, not just skill, but you have to have a lot of luck to be able to get that kind of cycle.
Glacial Peak. Now, there's nothing but great movement through this and great soundtrack, but if there's anything we need to talk about for the marathon, this would actually be a great time to do it because it's just clean movement, normally.
Let me some good old-fashioned platform. Hi everybody, just want to remind everyone we are doing the only marathon Not the only marathon on Twitch that's ever happened, but is the only marathon. A speedrunning marathon dedicated to Ergotile, the Only Kid, raising money for the Dripper Project, the world's largest suicide prevention and crisis intervention organization for LGBTQ young people. We work to save young lives by providing support through free and confidential suicide prevention and crisis intervention programs on platforms where young people spend their time, such as a 24/7 phone lifeline, chat, text, and soon-to-come integrations with social media platforms. We are looking to inch ever so closer to that $10,000 threshold there. We have less than $2,000 to go for that, and about a day left of the event, so please do get your donations in. It's all going to a great cause. And we got quite a few incentives actually still left to be met. We have an ultimate goal. If we do hit $10,000, we'll be bringing Luigi to the party in the final run, so if we do get your donations in for those. We also have a $500 incentive, currently sitting at $0, as it was just recently added, but you can put your donation towards that. It is watching all the cutscenes in our silly/awful block later this evening for M&M Shell Shock.
Alright, what you all just saw, if you were paying close enough attention, it looked like Miinfin was about to drop down into a pit, and then he rope darted an enemy to save himself, and then he suddenly hit another enemy and appeared halfway across the screen. That is one of the glitches that you will see here in this run as well. We call it a teleport. There is a specific set of inputs that you have to do, but if you do the timing just right, it will warp you halfway across the screen depending on the setup. So we'll definitely see that again later on, but sorry that we weren't able to explain it as it was happening.
It's actually really interesting. It's like you're teleporting point A to point A because it's the same enemy, but it's fun. There's technical stuff that goes into it, but needless to say, it's fun to watch. And you go zip.
Oh yeah, especially in some of these levels, you'll start to see multiple teleports, or the high-level speedrunners at the top of the leaderboard that they do almost all of the teleports. It's really fun to watch. Just seeing Ninja kind of zipping back and forth across the screen.
I mean, I kind of do all the teleports. Because I like teleports. They fun.
Oh yeah, I do too. They're fun. They really are.
No, Ninja, please, stop. No rope dart dancing. Rope dart climbing.
We made it to the top of the mountain to deliver the scroll, and what we got here is the Tower of Time. This is basically the test of the messenger. This is, you know, hey, we're testing out this new guy. We're trying to see if he can actually cut it as the messenger. You notice every now and then, I think there's one there in that room, as a matter of fact, that there's a person in the background. I guess you could call them a would-be messenger that didn't quite make it through the Tower of Time. So this is the ultimate test, and it is, on a speed run, it is actually quite difficult. Seen way too many resets in this level. Had some conversations with people, and some people believe that this is probably the hardest level in the game. Alright, so you just saw some Crusher jank, is the only way that we can really describe it.
I should have died there.
Crushers in this game are merely a suggestion. They don't actually kill you all the time. I've seen people get squashed by Crushers and then they just clip right into the Crusher. It is one of those things that we as speedrunners, you know, the developers are aware of the situation, but these developers actually kind of molded this game for the speedrun community. The speedrunners use that to their advantage in a couple of spots, so they left it in the game for us, so that way we can exploit it whenever possible.
And that when that happened, that was one of those things. If you have a speedrun marathon bingo card, that's the that hasn't happened or that's not supposed to happen spot. Fill it.
Yeah, it's definitely not supposed to happen, but it does happen, and that's why we don't actually outlaw, even in the no out-of-bounds category, we don't exclude crusher clips just because crushers, once again, they're merely a suggestion. They do not always kill you.
Ooh, we got the Ojo Skip.
Oh yeah, we call that one the Ojo Skip Black. Basically what you're doing is you're just skipping through the lasers as quickly as possible. He rope darted the platform and it pulled him in, and it allowed him to skip several of the lasers all at one go. And then you're going to see another little thing that we do right here that basically it'll allow you to extend your sword slash through the wall. And normally you can't hit that crystal there on the right side of the wall, but if you do the right inputs, you can actually slash it through the wall, and it'll save you a little bit of time there. There's a few different places that can be used in this run.
Now, speaking of things being suggestions, in this room, ceilings are merely suggestions. These lasers do not go above the top of that screen.
That is actually glorious. Wow.
I don't need to wait on no stinking platform.
Alright, so he's coming up here to the boss of the Tower of Time. This is the final boss, so to speak, at least from the standpoint of the story so far, because this is the end of the Tower of Time. We're going to abuse the rope dart as much as possible. What's great about this game is that with the rope dart, it grants you a short amount of iframes whenever you use it. So he can actually just kind of sit there and keep pounding on this guy's head while just going right through those pink balls. And those pink balls, they hurt. They can actually end runs, but using those iframes makes it really quick and easy.
Yeah. Now, one thing I was hoping for, because if I get that start just right with damage, and I've been getting consistent at it, you can get something that's called the Pachi Pachi. Because Pachi means clap. And that thing claps a lot. If you do it just right, you get 2. And it saves time because you don't keep getting clapped away from them. Unfortunately, I didn't get it. I was hoping.
Oh yeah, it's a difficult strat. I can't even tell you how many times I've ever gotten the Pachi Pachi, because it's not guaranteed, but it definitely saves time if you can pull it off just right. So now we actually just found out about a kind of a plot twist, so to speak. We got to the top of the Tower of Time, we completed the trials, and we talked to those robed guys, and basically you jumped into a pit and you warped 500 years into the future. What happens in this is that the very first part of the game up until now is in an 8-bit style. The music, the graphics, everything is more of an 8-bit style. But now after you've warped forward into the future 500 years, it changes it into a 16-bit style, including the music. If you pay attention, you'll hear it's a lot deeper of a sound when the music's playing, and the same locations use the same music, and you'll see it a lot better what I'm talking about, but you'll see that a little bit later after we get to another point in the game. But it maintains the integrity of the song, bouncing from 8-bit to 16-bit, back to 8-bit, back to 16-bit, and all it does is it changes the depth of the sound. It's an amazing feature that they added to this game, and one of the reasons why I love the soundtrack to this game more than probably any other game.
It's amazing. Alright. Oh, now we come to our first... We haven't really run a whole lot of enemies, but we're about to have a really angry Sky Serpent. I think he needs a Snickers. He looks angry.
Oh yeah, he's quite angry. This is actually... This level and this boss in particular, now, we don't have to fight Manfred just yet. That's his name, by the way. His name is Manfred. We don't have to fight him just yet, but when we do, it's widely regarded as one of the more difficult boss fights in the entire game. You'll see why coming up, because he can definitely troll you if you're not careful. Ooh, and he just got that crusher skip. Nice.
No! Why did I hit the thing? I should not have hit that crusher, but whatever.
You you haven't died yet, so, or at least not in this level. So that's the most important thing.
I almost thought I missed that edge. Holy crap. Heart attack.
Oh, man. Some of the strats in this level
Alright, we're
are
just
so
gonna play it
much
safe here.
Oh. So you're probably going to see another... Oh, there went another teleport. So basically what you have to do the teleport is you have to slash and then rope dart. And then what happens is the rope dart connects with the enemy and pulls you in. And the slash after effects could kill the enemy. As long as those situations, those stipulations happen, then what it'll do is the game is basically, for lack of a better term, is it tries to find the next closest same enemy type, and it'll teleport you from that enemy because, hey, you rope darted it, you're coming into it, but you killed it before you connected. So the game, it gets confused and tries to figure out where that enemy's at, so it'll teleport you to the very next enemy that is of that same type. Now, that is a very crude explanation just because we have found out more information as to how it actually works, but the easiest way to explain it is exactly how I just explained it. A lot of times we don't even understand some of the physics in this game.
Alright, so people who like to play Metroid, whether save the animals or kill the animals, we have a similar thing. We're going to have our one enemy during a chase up here. Save it or kill it.
I always kill it, but you can do what you want to do. It doesn't save frames either way, so... It's this animal right here, because what happens is if you don't hit it, it'll just keep running and it'll jump off the edge. But, you know, according to the developers... Canonically speaking, that Ontard lives through that jump. We call them Kappas. Well, they are. It is a Kappa. No, that's the Ontard. I always forget.
Oh no, I'm off the screen. I can't see where I'm at. Never mind.
I always forget the enemy's name. Sometimes I mix them up.
I keep forgetting that there's a delay between what I see in chat and what's in there, and everybody's saying save, but we ended up saving it anyway, so we're all good.
That might have been a little bit awkward.
Manfred!
So, this is the fight I was talking about that most of us regarded as the most difficult boss fight in the game. Because if you notice, he'll actually go up and down every time that Miinfin hits him in the head. Miinfin's doing really well by hitting him and keeping him on the screen as much as possible. But when you're doing this fight casually, it can be a nightmare when you don't understand the exact mechanics of how he works. But Miinfin's actually doing really well so far, so... Almost got him. Nice.
He should be down. There we go.
There you go.
Whew.
Alright, so
look,
now...
I beat the Snickers into him.
Now Manfred is your friend. Instead of Manfred, he's Manfriend. But
there you go.
Here's that Wanderer guy that we didn't get to talk about earlier. You find out that he's actually one of the bad guys, and he sends you down into the underworld. This is actually my favorite level in the game. It's kind of difficult. There are some cycles, so to speak, that you have to pay attention to, but for the most part, it's just smooth platforming. It's so rewarding and so satisfying when it's done really well.
I might have done that a little too early. I don't want to hit the lava. Lava bad.
Yeah, we call it the Fanta.
Alright.
Stay away from the orange Fanta.
Off the wall, please. Bum, bum, bum. That was a really clean jump to that platform. Alright. I'll take it.
Really
This is
good room.
a really clean underworld. Boink. Honestly, it's not going to be too much longer. We're going to be at the boss for this area, and thus the end of the linear section. Oh, I tried to get the yeet and I didn't get it. Oh well.
This room can be really hectic if you're playing this on your casual playthrough, because that Fanta level is rising. If you noticed at the very bottom, there was some Fanta there. If you go too slow in this room, it will catch up to you and kill you. So it can be extremely nerve-wracking whenever you're first playing this, but of course, speedrunners just try to go through as quickly as they can. Didn't bother Miinfin here.
Almost there. A couple more screens, we'll be at the boss. And then we will have about a 2-minute cutscene type thing that we cannot skip.
Alright, so what Miinfin just did, he did a strat that we refer to as corner cheese on this boss. What that does is that allows him to get in a lot of hits in a very short period of time, because if you don't trap him up in the corner like Miinfin did, then he'll actually fly around the room instead of staying in the corner and taking all that damage. So Miinfin did really well getting that strat done, because that's the ideal fight to get the best time. And now we're entering into that approximate 2-minute long cutscene that we're switching from what's referred to as the linear portion of the game up to the Metroidvania portion of the game. What ends up happening there is you defeated Barmathazel and you fall down towards the lava, and Miinfin comes and saves you from falling into the lava. Now you're flying across, and if you'll notice, and as I mentioned earlier, you're 500 years in the future. So this, if you kind of remember what Ninja Village looked like at the beginning of the game, this is the Ninja Village. This is the future village. And we have another would-be messenger trying to take on the demon army. We have our Western hero come flying in on Manfred, defeating the demons and passing on the scroll.
Yep. So, I will sum up what we got coming up in the next cutscene, but if there's anything with that the host would like to say, now would be a great time, because not much is going to happen right here, other than dialogue.
Yeah, so we did get a $5 anonymous donation with no comment, but thank you very much. Any donation amount helps. Just wanted to remind y'all who we are a little bit. This marathon is being presented to you by the team at Fast Pace Events, spearheaded by the one, the only Andrew Cyprin. It was founded in January 22, aiming to promote mental health and LGBTQ plus awareness through speedrunning, raise money for mental health and LGBTQ plus charities by beating games at a fast pace. You can find more information about this team by checking out our Twitter at twitter.com/fastpaceevents. And as we've alluded to at this point, this particular event is put on behalf of our dearly departed friend, the only kid, and we're raising money for the Trevor Project. So we're inching closer to that $10,000 mark. Less than $2,000 to go. I know we can do this, Chad. I know we can. I can believe in all of you.
So, to sum up... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I did. Continue. This is on you.
Okay. So basically what happened is, once we're done being the messenger and we go into the Tower of Time headquarters, we get to be a shopkeeper, just like him. Except we are the worst shopkeeper in all time. I say it's in part because we weren't trained to know that we need to use that orb to save the messengers and send out the green demons like Horrible. We didn't tell us that, but it's all our fault that the future messenger just died permanently. So, yeah. Now we get to scroll back, and we get to go all over the place in all time. And funny thing about that scroll, Samurai, did you know it was a map?
There's a map in this game?
There was. Yeah. We saw it for like a frame, and that was it. It's gone.
That's an inside joke for the speedrunners for this game, because you find out that the scroll that you've been carrying this whole time was a map, but you don't ever use it in the speedrun. So it's like, wait, there's a map in this game? But rest assured that if you play through this game casually, you'll end up using that map trying to figure out where to go. So right now, Miinfin is heading down towards what's called the Elemental Skylands. He's going to have to do another one of those leash glitches in order to get a enemy to follow him, where he can use that enemy to basically skip part of the game. And this is the Wizrobe, it's a Murm of Wizquard is the technical name, but we call it a Wizrobe.
That's right.
See, he was able to get the leash. So what he was doing there, once he got through with leashing, you can notice that the Wizrobe does continue to follow him, and as Miinfin mentioned earlier, that normally the enemies cannot follow you from room to room. The one thing that will break that leash is using the rope dart again. So as you notice, Miinfin's going through all of these screens without using the rope dart. It actually makes it very scary in some places, because if he uses the rope dart right now, that wizard will stop following him into the next room. So he's got to make it through without dying, without killing the Wizrobe there. Oh my goodness, you're giving me a heart attack.
He got there at the wrong place.
Oh no.
And he's in the wrong spot there. Come on.
Let's go.
All right.
Come on. So what he does here is he uses that projectile to get over to the platform. Normally you have to actually free the Queen of Quills to help you out so you can get over there, but by using this leashing technique, we're able to make it to the Elemental Skylands and basically bypass part of the game. Shoutouts to Kyle Berry for finding that. We were doing a race one Friday night, and there were like 4 or 5 of us in the race. And before we started, I said, Kyle Berry, don't go breaking this game now. And sure enough, in the middle of the race that Friday night, he figured out that you can use leashing and break the game, basically. It was really funny because I called him out on it. I told him not to do it, and he still did it. But it's for the better. It definitely helped speed us up a lot.
Elemental Skylands.
Alright, and they called this the Elemental Skylands because there's 4 sections to this, each one after one of the elements. The first one that we're at the wind. The next Skyland is going to be the Earth Skyland, and then the water, and then the fire. What we're trying to do at each of these is there's a generator that Miinfin is having to destroy, basically. It has to stop them from running. And what that will allow us to do is go to the Clockwork Concierge, who is the boss of this level.
Taking damage I didn't want to take. Let's be careful.
But this is one of the longest levels in this game, just because it's got so many different parts to it. But it's really fun and satisfying when you're speedrunning it.
Now the main reason we're coming here is because we need to farm up a lot of shards. The next time that we buy items, I need at least 1,340 shards for some very specific upgrades to try to do a trick in the following level. So we get a lot.
Yeah, as you
the
see,
small little
basically
things drop
killing
one.
all the enemies here. If you don't kill all the enemies, then you could very easily come up short. And even in other runs that go here, like the New Game Plus or the 100%, you don't have to focus quite so hard on collecting all the shards, but in this one, you definitely need to collect as many as possible.
So we try to take advantage of the ones that look like they got these right here. They drop 6 per. We want to definitely kill every single one of those we see. And we will have lines of 10 of them coming up in later sections. So we want to make sure we get rid of all those. Alright. So we've actually got a little skip here. There's supposed to be a puzzle and a route we're supposed to take to do this normally. We don't like puzzles. We're just gonna literally faceplant into spikes.
But it does cut out at least, I think it's 2 different rooms that you have to go through. It saves quite a bit of time, just that one little spike boost. So we definitely take the damage boost to our advantage.
No, I missed one. That's earth. That's done. Now we get the water. Water's my favorite. I get the water yeet. Now, one of the things I like with Miinfin, because this level also involves a lot of mashing. So it is the only time in the game that involves a massive amount of mashing. But you also fire a fireball when you press and when you release. So if you can time your button presses just right, you can get a lot out while putting in half the effort. And it's kind of handy. And then you can charge up the big ones like that. Oh, okay, I didn't get it. Finally. Whoop.
And believe me, as a speedrunner, having played through this level multiple times, it is definitely worth getting that rhythm down, because while you don't shoot quite as fast as if you're mashing, you can still get in a lot of shots without wearing out your wrist or your hands. So it's worth getting that rhythm down if you're doing this level a lot.
Alright, water. We start off with a water eat right off the bat. And just time the drop
That's another
just
cool
right.
effect, that when you go underwater in this game, you can actually hear the music muffle. It's just one little touch that the developers added to the game, just a little touch, a little bit of tender loving care. Getting those jumps is so satisfying.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, give me that. Well, thankfully, there's only... I was seeing something in chat, someone talking about hating ice levels more than water levels. There's only glacial, but that one doesn't really have ice physics. I am so happy this game does not have ice physics.
It's funny too, though, because in this game, the glacial peak that we went through earlier is typically the speedrunner's favorite level in the entire game. But that's just because it's so fast. You just got that rope dart, and you can really start flying through that. Like, that level was designed with speed in mind. So most of the speedrunners really dig that level.
Fun thing is, that first one that I just killed right there is the only one that has there's a bugged death sound. It sounds like one of the red kappas dying versus just a machine blowing up. The only time you run across it. And now we're going to Fire Skylands. Fire Skylands is a little scary because normally we should have the Lightfoot Tabby for this, so we can walk on lava. We don't yet, so we cannot walk on lava. This is another section where floor is lava, lava bad, don't touch lava. And especially right here. This is where it's most prevalent to be able to use it. I just got a rope dart just right. And I'm at 1 health. I need to be careful. Although, actually, you know what? Never mind. I'm at a point where it doesn't matter. Yay. Lost time. Awkward Concierge.
Awkward Concierge, yes. And just like in the rest of this level, when you do these flying parts, there is a lot of mashing involved on this. Now, there is a way that if you do some pause buffering strats, you can actually kill him a lot faster, because what ends up happening is the hurt box on your fireballs continue to deal damage even when it's paused. So if you do it just right, you can actually shred through him pretty quickly, but normally, when you're normally playing through, there's a ton of mashing in this part.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the map buffering, but some people are. I just can't get it right.
I'm not a fan of it either myself, but you know, some people have the timing down really well, and it works well for them. So I'm not going to knock them for it.
And we are almost done here. Last heart section.
Right,
That's Clockwork Concierge. He's done.
Alright, so now what you're going to see right here is you're going to see Ninja collecting this music note. And you didn't get to see the one earlier that he collected when he did the leash in Searing Crags because it was invisible. But right now we're basically traveling through the lands and trying to collect these 6 music notes so that way we can access the music box at the end of the game. So the biggest task right now is collecting those notes as well as some of the other story items. That way you can make sure that you get all the items you need to go ahead and beat the game.
Yep.
So that's
I
2
see
down.
someone saying it's a very... I see someone in chat saying it's a very dapper boss. Very much is so, because he's a giant mechanical butler, and Manfred wants to be his protege. Manfred wants to be a Sky Serpent butler.
Yep, that is his ultimate dream in life, is to be a butler. And Clockwork Concierge, I can't even talk right now. Clockwork Concierge agrees to take him as a protege and teach him the fine art of being a butler.
Ooh, hey, you know, since we're 500 years in the future and we're going back to Crags, I wonder how the twins are doing. I wonder if they'll be there for me to say hi. Well, that's unfortunate.
They were waiting for their soup for so long that they just died waiting for the soup. Quite funny if you think about it that way, but... So normally what you would have to do is actually help them get their soup, so that way they can drink it, and it's like a power thistle soup. It makes them really strong. They help you get to another part where you can collect another note. But that's the note that Miinfin did a sequence break earlier in the game and got that note. So we're not actually going to have to do that in this run.
Yeah, that particular sequence break saves us probably about 2 or 3 minutes at least.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's probably a little higher than that. It is closer to a 5-minute time save, just because you're not having to climb back up and down to make the thistle soup, and then you're not having to actually go through the little, I guess you can call it a sub-level, in order to collect the note.
I forgot about going back to Ninja Village. That's part of the... Yeah, it is definitely a lot faster. Can we one tile this time? Ooh,
Nice.
first try!
First try, nice. So he just skipped another little sub-level, if you want to call it that, and he was able to go backdoor into this note. That right there, the skip he just did by doing that one tile jump, probably saved about 2 minutes, possibly. It's been so long since I did the standard route that I couldn't even tell you anymore.
now we go to the shop. Zip here, zip there. Now we buy a few upgrades. We are well over what we actually need. Alright, so now we're going back to Howling Grotto. We've got a water maze we're going to do. So there's one of the Zeldas, I forget which, where you have like the Dark Woods and stuff, where you're supposed to have an item to guide yourself through. Same concept, just underwater. Ooh. Just gotta get there first. Thank you. Alright, so we're gonna backtrack through here a little bit. That's not supposed to happen that way. Can we do reverse DK skip and not get hit by the rocks or saws? Then yeah. Thank you. Get up there. Alright. We're also going to see another teleport here in a minute. But it's going to be a little weird. It's going to show that it's not definitely, or not always just straight across. Because you can zip to the next enemy, but also change your plane or your height. Because I went down.
And you'll notice that he went through a few of those little, what we call time rifts, which basically instantly change you from 8-bit to 16-bit back to 8-bit. It's a very handy way that the developers were able to incorporate more puzzles into this game, because depending on whether you're in the future era or the past era, sometimes there might be walls or rock formations or something like that that changes from one era to the next that allows you to progress. So while we don't really have to do a lot of them because we skip a lot of puzzles in this speed run, normally you have to go through them quite often in order to do the casual run, so to speak. Now we're on to the Sunken Shrine here. What Miinfin's going to be trying to do to begin with is what's called the backdoor tabby. I think he's just going to give it a few tries, but it can actually save quite a bit of time if you can do this, but to be honest, it's very difficult. Just because you have to get a max jump off of this lantern. What he's doing is trying to get that. Oh, he almost got it. He's trying to get an extra cloud step, and he's got to do a one-tile jump off of that tile up top. If he can get the jump, he can actually make it in there and damage boost through the spikes and get to the Lightfoot Tabby, which is the next item. But it looks like it's trying to give him some trouble here.
Yeah, I had the one, and then I just messed up the...
Oh yeah, you almost had it that time, but that actually at one point in time was thought to be impossible. We tried it and tried it and tried it for quite a long time, and nobody could actually quite get it. And then eventually, the speedrunners were able to break that open and figure it out, but it's definitely not an easy skip in this game. So this is going to be more of an intended route, but he is also going to try to do what's called the PP skip or Piranha Pig Skip, named after the speedrunner. What he's going to do here is he's basically going to skip having to go from one era to another in order to make the water level change. You'll see it here in just a moment.
Oh,
that's this room
do it
right
without
here.
getting hit by the saw. That'd be great.
Alright, nice. So he was able to make it up there. Normally what you would have to do is actually go into the water into the bottom right corner and go into the next room over there to change into the future era. And what that does is it raises the water level so you can actually make it up through there. But in this case, we don't want to do any of that. We're just going to keep moving. And now that he has the Lightfoot Tabby, he has the ability to run on any liquid So water, quicksand, or lava. But the problem is that if you stop running, you will sink down immediately. So anytime that you're trying to run on the water and stuff, you have to be running, otherwise it just doesn't work right. Very important when you're running on lava to make sure that you don't stop while you're running on the lava.
I see you're going to start asking something as far as like the backdoor tabby skip. So the rope dart actually just pulls you there. You still got to time the one tile just right for that backdoor tabby skip. So if you can't time, if the one tile won't happen, then you still won't get the jump. Alright. In New Game Plus, you can skip this entire puzzle segment right here.
Oh yeah,
Because you have access to an item that you don't get unless you 100% the game.
Yeah, I love New Game Plus mode. There's so many cool strats that you can do with the Windmill Shuriken. Plus you get all the items from the beginning basically, so it makes for some very interesting speed strats.
Damage this time.
Alright.
And
nice.
Suncrest. Alright. Now, was it Casa or was it Kuni that did the damage boost here?
I believe that it was Kuni was the one that figured it out to begin with. So if you do it just right, you can actually boost through those spikes and save a lot of time by flying through the room like that. Because normally you'd have to run across the top of the water.
I tried to do it and it erred. Oh well.
Unfortunately, you should have paused there, but that's okay. Luckily, you didn't lose a lot of time.
Thankfully, we are good on charge for a little while, so we'll let Corval hang out for a minute.
See, this is what you would normally have to do. Unfortunately, Miinfin mistimed that run under the crushers, but you know, that definitely happens sometimes.
Good time for quick donation?
Absolutely.
Alrighty. We got another $5 donation from Anonymous. Just says, I'm donating $5 for soup. Hope it's not too late. Oh. Oh no. Well, thank you very much for your donation, Anonymous. And just as a reminder, if you are donating, we do have multiple things to donate for. Anytime you put your donation through, put your money towards a target, which currently the next one, as I mentioned times already, is the M&M Shell-Shocked one. But you can also put it towards some polls. We have currently 2 polls. One is the Nintendogs plus Cats run, where you can name the dog. There's currently 4 naming choices there, as well as picking between Wayne's outfit for the upcoming Hylix 2 run, between the purple and default.
And to answer Zalaxon's question there in chat, no, technically he died earlier in the run, but what happened was he quit out to menu before the game was able to basically recognize that he died. That way, he was basically trying to bypass Corval so he wouldn't lose the shards. And what that does, in essence, is while technically he did die, the game counter doesn't really recognize those deaths since he quit out of the game beforehand. So that's why when Corval appeared there, he gave a brief little dialogue before Miinfin was able to keep going with the run. I hope I was able to answer the question for you. I hope you're able to understand that.
It'd be nice if that was the first time I ever met him. But unfortunately, that was not the case. Because ideally, we do go through this run with 3 intended deaths. The first one actually would be coming up not too far from now. But, yeah. Still, it's not doing too bad. Long door sequence.
But now we have a good number of the notes. Where are we at now? 4 out of 6?
3 or 4, something like that.
Yeah,
I forget.
We have 4.
4, yeah, 4. Because we just have Underworld and Corrupted Future left.
Yep.
But we got a little ways to go before we can get either one of those.
Yeah, because up next is going to be Riviere Turquoise, so that's definitely going to be going to take a little bit of time, unfortunately. We've been really trying to find a way to skip Riviere Turquoise because it's a long level and you don't get a note from it. It's just another item. So we've been trying to figure out a way to actually skip it, but unfortunately the item that you get is pretty important. So none of our wizards have been able to figure that out. Even on the out of bounds run, you still have to go to Riviere Turquoise.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I don't out of bounds, so I didn't know that.
even on out of bounds, you still have to because we don't have a way to get past the wall in the Corrupted Future. That's what's holding us back, primarily because you need the Firefly in order to open up the wall.
That's fair.
We're still trying to find that
so
way,
remember
though.
that. So you guys remember that publican we met in Catacombs? That was Claustro, or not Claustro. That was Necro. We're going for Claustro. We got to find the rest of the publicans because they help us unlock something here in a little bit.
And it's funny too because okay, so they're called Phobicans. It's this little guy here with the hat on in the corner, shivering and shaking. There's 4 of them in the game that you have to find because they help you out in order to progress later on. But they are named after what they are afraid of. So in that case, that guy's name was Claustro, so claustrophobia. He's scared of tight spaces. Coincidentally, you find him in a tight, enclosed space. So it's kind of some of the humor that the developers had, that they made these creatures who are afraid of these things, that's where they are and that's where you have to save them from. It's a little ironic.
Yeah, I think they just needed to read their job contracts a little bit more before they were sent off to do things.
Yeah, that might have a lot to do with it, but you know.
Oh, I missed it. Reverse N2. This is a little easier because there's no one tile. Unfortunately, we do not get to hear the 16-bit version of Bamboo Boogaloo because we won't touch the 16-bit version of Bamboo Creek. There's never a reason for us to be in it.
Oh, but it's a glorious song.
I really cut that close. Holy crap.
version of the Bamboo Boogaloo. I think that's one reason why I like the NG Plus, the New Game Plus run, because in the New Game Plus run, it's easy to get into the 16-bit Bamboo Creek.
Get the one tile you right here. We sure can.
Nice.
Oh, whoops. I'm out of shurikens. I don't try to do the wet afro stuff. I do it the hard way. I don't think I've ever landed on the platform when doing the one tile there. But okay, it works.
Alright, so now we're heading
Let's see how Ruxton's doing. Let's check in on him.
We gotta throw it in 16-bit here and go visit our pal Ruxton, but unfortunately, Ruxton didn't make it. All we find is his coffin here, and there's a letter, and an amulet. That amulet's going to be very important because we're going to need that in order to access the Cloud Ruins again.
Alright, I'm gonna try to see if I can pull off Levy's little Superman thing here in a minute. If I can pull that skip off, because it just looks fun. So we are going to be taking advantage of forward momentum with the rope dart here in a minute. Just got to lure some bats our way. Oh, okay, I just completely messed it up, so we'll continue. Normally you can just yeet your way right through into this area without touching anything. But oh well.
Right now we're heading to what's called the Dark Cave. What this does is it helps us to get to that level that I was talking about earlier, the Riviere Turquoise. And the Dark Cave, normally in order to pass this part of the game, you have to go and collect what they call the True Power of Sight. Just because it's a dark cave. It's pretty self-explanatory. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about here in just a minute. Being a speedrunner, though, we don't want to spend all that extra time to go and get the Power of True Sight, aka a candle. We're just going to wing it. Luckily, there is like absolutely zero RNG in the Dark Cave, so as long as you can memorize the layout, then
And hit the first ring.
Actually, not extremely difficult here. To be honest, it's pretty fun, and I love the song.
We're probably going to concentrate here for a minute. Okay, never mind. We got to the part that I always hate. It's just that third one. If I always miss that platform if I'm not paying attention. So we're good. I need to actually reset those.
Yeah, that was a good idea.
Underneath where I
was
needed to be.
clenching really hard just now.
I don't have to race this thing here, but it's nice if you stand on the door.
Alright, so now this level is somewhat difficult. There's some difficult strats that we do, some pretty cool looking ones as well, like the bird yeet and stuff like that. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about coming up in just a moment, but this level does take a pretty good bit of concentration and making sure that you're able to do the strats, to say the least, just because some of them are extremely difficult.
Mm-hmm. And there's all kinds of puzzles we're supposed to do in here, and there's only one we actually do. Because we don't like puzzles.
That was fun.
Puzzles take too long.
You really can skip pretty much everything. It's funny.
That was a little bit closer than I wanted it to be, but it works. Let's keep it spread. Oh! That's right. I know where I'm at. I was thinking I was in a slightly different screen. I was going to do something completely wrong, which probably would have ended badly. That is actually a really hard teleport to do. Because the timing is just wrong. And you gotta use shurikens to do it. But it works. It's fun when it pulls off. And you can actually chain a second one right after it. And this room's just scary.
Yeah, there's platforms. If you don't move quick enough, it's easy to find yourself falling into a pit, so...
And you got crazy people like me which rush the cycles.
Alright, so coming up here is that bird yeet that I just mentioned a moment ago. It's really cool. What he's going to do is basically use the momentum that he gets from using this ring to carry that momentum through this entire next room and into the following room.
Oh, I did that way too early.
It was still good though. It was really good.
No! Okay, I gotta be really careful here. I hit spikes I didn't want to hit.
Yeah, because if you have enough health right here, you can actually lure this bat up to the top row and use it to damage boost to make it through the spikes in a quick cycle. But if you don't have the life, you probably don't want to. Yeah, you probably don't want to try it.
No! Get around here, thank you. The one puzzle we have to do, right here.
The one puzzle that you have to do, and it's just because in the next room, the entire bottom area is basically just that water that you see there, and if you fall in that water, you die. So you actually have to line the flowers up to make sure that you can fly across the room. Other than that, the rest of the puzzles, we're speedrunners. We don't want to do them.
Besides, we get cloud steps off these flowers. That just lets us jump up levels we normally would. And this is the hardest skip in this particular level.
Oh, absolutely.
That's timing.
I am not a fan of the bird skip.
That's not where I wanted to be. There we go. Got it.
You hit.
What did I hit?
You hit the ball in the top room. You hit the spike ball in the top room.
Oh no.
Yeah. Oh, that's bad. He actually got it first try and died because he jumped a little bit too high.
We're just gonna do the back up here.
There's the spike ball right there. It starts off there in the middle of the room.
I did that wrong. I need to hit that. Thank you.
Oh, good. Thank you. I'm glad you realized that.
I thought I hit it twice and I didn't. Boink. Oh, we come to Matriarch. Or the Butterfly. However you want to call it.
Yeah, so this is the Butterfly Matriarch. Normally you have to take your time. She's going to shoot these sonar waves at you and stuff, and then eventually sprinkle some magic dust that helps show some invisible platforms so you can get to the top of the screen and hit her. There's a lot of ways that you
I pressed
can
the wrong
go
direction.
about trying to... Sorry, what?
I was supposed to go the other way.
I think you were supposed to go the other way, yes, sir. So normally, yeah, like I was saying, you have to give it some time and you have to wait for the cycles and everything, but if you know where the platforms are, they're there. You can jump on them. You don't have to wait for her to sprinkle her magic fairy dust. So we're definitely going to exploit that here in the speedrun. Just like Miinfin did right there. Nice. And he's able to get the quick cycle as well.
So, thanks to a, oh, if I can think, one of the top level runners, Grandius, finding out that, you can actually do the rope dart, attack cycle, and you can get a lot more hits on off screen on that first phase, and it makes the second phase a lot faster. Now we're going to be going to get another Phobican. This is Pyro, our pal. Also, and I don't know if anybody else has taken this up, but just because we do have a few non-binary people in the community, we used to call everybody like I almost forgot my tabby, the controller? Hello? I just stopped moving. Anyway, we used to call them like Bamboo Boy, Pyro Boy, Lover Boy, things like that. I have gone to name them. We got our neighbor Necro, we got Claustro the companion, Pyro our pal, and then the last one's going to be Acro our ally. So
And that
that's
was
just
an
how
example right
I
there
refer
of
to
what
them.
I was mentioning earlier, that you don't want to stop while you're on lava or anything, because the tabby only work if you're running. So you definitely, in this level in particular, but anywhere that you're using the tabby, you do have to take that into consideration, because if you let go of that run button, then you're gonna fall.
I think I just managed to fat finger the down button while also running, and that didn't work.
Oh, it definitely happens.
Time for a quick donation?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Alright. We got $20 from RiceStar2. Good taste in games for your name, by the way. This says, okay, but why have we not hit 10K yet, though? Very good question. We are inching ever so close to that, so please do get your donations. Helps out a lot and goes to a great cause.
And just get pushed. I wish we could make this cycle. You can't. You get squished. Ow. Not trying the one tile saw jump. No, thank you. I like my checkpoints.
Yeah, there's about a 10-second time save in this room that if you have enough life and you want to get that checkpoint, you can jump off of that first saw in the room and basically get an extra step off of it. That'll allow you to skip basically the entire room. It saves about 10 seconds or so. But it can be extremely dangerous, especially with this room right here. Because it's easy to get off cycle on this room and just start hitting enemies and getting hit by the fireballs and everything. It's one of those that you have to kind of balance the risk and reward, because if you die, you're losing a ton of time.
I almost messed up those last little bit.
So that's note number 5. We only have one more that we're going to have to get, but before we do that, we're going to have to make a little stop. We got to head up back to the Cloud Ruins. What we need to do now is the only reason why we're heading here is that we have to get the last Phobican. That way we can proceed to the Demon King and go and get the Demon Crown. So this is a really fun level. I've heard several speedrunners say that they really enjoy this level in particular because there's some really nice speed strats that can be done. And it's just because it's going to be in the 8-bit as opposed to the 16-bit.
Yeah, for some odd reason, the 8-bit version, the mixed 8 to 16-bit version just seems to be a little bit more enjoyable than the straight 16 Pitfall.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot more platforming on this level now in the 8-bit. 16-bit is a little... I mean, obviously there's platforming, but it's different. This one has a lot more clean feel to it. Plus, you get to see more teleports.
Oh yeah, there's a lot more teleports in here. Now, exiting this level, we need to have 9,000 shards. Or not 9,000. 1,000 shards. So I might be doing a little banker strat to make sure I get there. And collecting things I normally wouldn't. Because I'm a little shy at the moment from where I usually am. Because we need that for our last 3 upgrades. Worst case scenario, I'll get 2 of them here. And then the last one before Forlorn Temple. Well, that didn't go to plan. That bad damage boost off of that. So in all of the basically, most of the 8-bit area is where a Manfred chase normally would have taken place. So we have a alternate area to go through, essentially. And it's a little scarier sometimes. Dark and gloomy if you like thunderstorms and stuff, so it's a nice place. Now we got damage boost heaven at the moment.
And you have to be careful on these little spike walls because they're actually crushers as well. That if you get pinned in between like a ceiling and the crusher or something, it can kill you. So you have to be really careful when you're doing those damage boosts. But luckily he was able to make it right through.
Taking a safety save because I could try to do the crusher skip like I did earlier, but I didn't feel confident at the moment. Out of my way. Now, some rooms, like the Banshee Room coming up here, is actually a little scarier in 8-bit than it is in 16-bit because I have less floor. Less floor. Normally there was a platform here, not this time. Oh, I didn't get the teleport. Oh well. Also, because the devs were a little lazy in something, there's a lantern there in 16-bit that stays there in 8-bit. It's just hidden in the wall. You can hit it. One teleport. We got an eyeball teleport. Gotta watch what I'm doing.
That one, in my opinion, is one of the most satisfying teleports in the game.
Oh, yes.
You do that eyeball teleport, it feels so smooth.
That did not go to plan. I missed everything to get over those balls. Wind tunnel teleport. That one's a little rough because if you do it at the wrong timing, you just teleport straight into spikes in the ceiling. And that just hurts. Thankfully, we don't have to worry about Manfred chasing us or fighting Manfred. We just have a lot of Death Pit coming up here in just a minute. Alright, we are barely there. And there's our 1,000 shards. We got all the shards we need for the final upgrade. Woohoo! Now we just got a few more rooms to go. Ah. I did not like this room in the slightest in my casual play because it took me so long to get through it because I could never figure out the Banshees. Hi, Acro. Bye,
Yep,
Acro.
so now that's got an intentional death there, so that way it'll warp us right back to the save point, so that way we can enter in and move on to the next area. So now we have all 4 of the Phobikins. So after he does a really quick shot there, we're going to go on to what's called Forlorn Temple. Since we collected all 4 of the Phobikin, they have different carpentry skills. And what they do for you is they'll actually build a bridge to go across a really big gap. It allows you to get into the Demon King's castle. First, before he gets there, though, he's going to have to go through Autumn Hills. I don't know if you recall, but near the very beginning of the game, after that very first Leaf Golem boss, he went into the next screen, which was called Forlorn Temple, and basically, as soon as you run in, you drop down and you go to the catacombs. So you only see it for about 10 seconds earlier on in the game. But now that hole's actually going to be filled by the bridge. That way we can go ahead and try to fight the Demon King, because we want his crown.
Excuse me. Thank you. That's what you're supposed to do. Alright. Autumn Hills changed a little bit going this way too, because we don't have to go up and around right there. We can if we want, but it's just slower. Now, the boss room here, there's no more Leaf Golem, but there's a hidden boss, because there's these little thistly things that drop down. You go through here, without doing anything, that will happen. I did that on purpose, because it's like, it's perfectly timed, regardless of which way you go. The outside ones will nail you on the head.
Alright, so now you see all 4 of the Phobikins, and here's our bridge.
And look, they're all here, and I have a bridge.
So we are getting pretty close to the end here. We've only got a couple more levels after this one. This one is somewhat difficult on casual. Because now you're basically having to use all the skills that you've learned. You've got to understand the time rifts to warp back and forth from eras. So right now you're basically having to pull out all the stops in order to make sure that you can progress. It's not super difficult on the speed run, but it's it can definitely be nerve-wracking because you're near the end of the run here, and if you make any mistakes, it can definitely kill a PB pace pretty quickly.
Also, somehow, we have rockets.
Yep, and here's a fun
500 years in the future, we have rockets.
The animation of Ninja on the rockets as he's flying up was inspired by the animation of Shatterhand whenever Shatterhand is hanging from, like, say, gates and stuff like that, or fences and stuff like that. The animation of him hanging there inspired Ninja's animation for this game.
Wizrogues, you trolls. Got all in my way. I don't want to bet. We'll just kill everything. Ow.
Alright, nice.
Alright. Safety health.
That room can be extremely scary.
I've played this enough, I've learned where safety health is at.
Yeah, there's a couple rooms in this level that are extremely
Alright.
Monka-esque. Like, it's lined with spikes in some rooms, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Oh man. It can be quite scary when you're going through. They're very consistent though, because the great thing about this game is there's very little RNG. Nice.
Alright. And also knowing where everything's at, so you just throw a shuriken off screen and hit what you want. That's great. Rocket time waster. Off of that, please. Thank you. Oh, that's messes up cycles. Alright, we got it. We're good. Now, we're coming up to a room that has, like, spikes and saws in it. That's, we found a way through this room fast, just because, New Game Plus does gradually do more damage. And they need to find a way to through the room quickly without instantly dying. I want to say it was 2C that actually ended up coming up with that one.
Yeah, and we're actually coming up with another room here that's extremely difficult sometimes. Because if you mess up the timing of this room at all, it can definitely come back to bite you. Miinfin doing it perfectly, though.
Wait, there were spikes and saws in that room? Where?
Yeah, exactly. There's going to be one more similar room coming up that's got a lot of spikes and saws in it as well. But once he gets past that, then he's pretty much home free for the boss.
The Monka Saw room.
Right here.
Also, don't rope dart while you're in the middle of a saw, because it will eat your rope dart, and it'll mess things up kind of like that.
Alright, nice.
Oh,
okay,
good.
now we're
We
on
made
to
it.
the boss. So this is going to be the Demon King, that really big guy that you see at the very beginning of the game. We actually get to fight him head-to-head now. There are some strats that you can use here in order to make it a little bit faster. What you do is cloud step off of those fireballs like Miinfin just did and constantly spam rope dart and slash. If you do it really well, you can actually do it all in one climb, kind of like he's doing right there. But the problem is too is that you got to be really careful when you're doing that strat, because if you mess up and you spawn that rocket at the bottom at the wrong time, you can actually end up soft locking yourself on this boss. So it's something that you really have to be mindful of as you're battling him. That way you don't lose that extra time.
Now if you're fighting him in the air like that, there's a big explosion sound that'll happen. If that happens, you can just drop to the thing because he's had all his hit points in that phase done. I didn't jump high enough, that's okay. Now we get to play Dodgeball, or if you're a fan of GDQ, Dodge Orb. And we get to do it again. So if there's anything from the host, this would be a great time because this is literally a cutscene of dodging orbs.
London. So we do have a few donations. We have $14.23 from Reward a Drawer, which I'm guessing is supposed to be a palindrome. It says, GG Min, love seeing your messenger runs. Stay rad. Alright. At $4.24. At $4.24 from Darak Sharna. Says, don't you wish that didn't have a 0.01 in the donation total? That's not me laughing. That actually is in the comment. And then the donations apparently came in about at the same time. So Darak Sharna donated $5.77 to raise us to a total of $8,060.01. Said, there, fixed it. More evil laughter. It's a little bit too late for me to be doing my... It's a little bit late for me to be doing my max volume evil laughter, but hope I can do enough.
Alright, thank you all for the donations. So now we're moving on here to the second to last area of the game. This is called the Corrupted Future. This is basically what happens to the world after obliteration, for lack of a better term. The demon army has won, and this is what happens. If you'll notice, I mean, you see bodies falling from the sky in the background. I mean, everything about this level is just doom and gloom. So this is the future that Ninja is fighting so hard to try to avoid. So I don't want to get into a lot of lore about this game. If you're interested in that, please feel free to check out the Messenger Wiki. You can also join the Sabotage Studio Discord, where they talk about lore all the time. But yeah, this is, as I mentioned, this is the future you're trying to avoid.
Not to mention the stage watches you. Some of those eyes will follow you. See? It's staring at me.
Exactly. That's why it's a spooky stage.
This level is nightmare fuel.
You don't want to live through this. But, you know, luckily, you know, that's why we have this game, and that's why we're telling Ninja's story. And for anybody who is a fan of Sabotage Studio, I highly recommend checking out their upcoming game, Sea of Stars, because it's built in the same universe as The Messenger. It just expands upon it exponentially because it is going to be a role-playing game.
It's a prequel that explains, because it actually kind of ties into Sunken Shrine and the lore there. So it's
exactly.
I cannot wait. It's sometime this year. All right. And honestly, this is now the only reason we need the fairy, so we can free all our fairy friends, so we can actually just do things like this. I just completely rope darted nothing. Alright, just a couple more. Actually, you know, I think this is the last fairy to free, isn't it?
Yep, last one. You're
Yep.
coming up on the end here.
Alright,
So
now we're
now
gonna
there's a
zip
little
along and
skip
grab
that
this
we can
note.
do. All right,
Well-
so he successfully did the chase skip. Normally, what you have to do is you'll grab that note, and then this gigantic creature appears right here, which we refer to as the Abomination. Problem is though is that he's a really big creature, and he's what's called a world eater, and he starts chasing after you, and you have to run away from him and make it all the way from the end there, all the way back to the beginning before he eats you. But by doing what Miinfin did, by using that glide ring and gliding into the note and then falling into the pit, it allows you to skip the entire chase sequence, because as soon as you die, it warps you back to the save point, but you still get to keep the note. So that's something that the speedrunners use to help save some time. You're probably talking in the neighborhood of about 30 to 40 seconds that skip saves you just right off the bat.
Yeah, so the funny thing is it was found casually on accident, became a benefit for speedrunners, and then the cool thing is the reason we go to the work portal save point is because the only other time in that level it saves is when we successfully collect the note. It will save right after that. We don't successfully collect the note until after we're dead.
Miinfin has all the notes now, so we get to enter into the music box. This is going to be the last stage of the game. Probably got about 10 more minutes left on the run, roughly. Now, this is a heavily cycle-based stage, and if you notice as he's going through, the crushers and everything else moves in time to the music. So it's another neat way that the developers found to tie music into the theme of this game.
Yeah, because you can actually beat certain cycles, and you can manipulate it with the pause/map buffering, but it's rough. I almost had it. I almost had the cycle skip. Oh well. That is a really rough cycle to hit, to skip, because if you don't do it right, you die. You get squished.
Yeah, that's why you really have to try to make sure that you stay on pace in this level, because if you get off beat at all, it's very easy to lose your timing and get squashed or fall into a pit or you name it. It can definitely happen.
Yeah, there's lots of things that can go wrong in this level. Alright, now I should be on the cycle that I want to be on. Well, no. Except I got stuck. Sticky Ninja, stop. I took a lot more damage than I thought. Oh, man. Must be careful. This room leads to heart attacks.
Yeah, I can remember this room in my casual playthrough. It was not fun to say the least.
And apparently
Trying to
there's a
learn how to stay
eating
off the ground.
skip in here, which... okay, now we're fine. Now here pretty soon we're actually going to come up to a music cycle manipulation.
Basically what he did
We
is he
reset
went
the
into
music?
the shop there in order to reset the music, and when he did that, it actually reset all of the crushers and everything as well. So we use that to our advantage. There's another spot that you'll see that again, that he'll go into the shop just to make sure that he's getting the ideal cycles.
Crystal abuse. And this room is proof that yeeting was intentional. Oh, got the cycle skip. That's good.
Nice.
I'm on the roughly the right song section, so.
Nice. Really good timing on that.
Ow. Now we get the cycle skip in here in a little bit. Hey, we got it right. Now can we cycle skip here too? There's a lot of areas where if you do it right, you get to skip certain cycles instead of having to wait. We got it.
Nice. Yeah, normally you have to wait for that pillar that he's standing on to go all the way up and then all the way back down before you can actually get on it. But since he was able to get there fast enough, he was able to skip an entire cycle, so that definitely saves a good bit of time. And it's not guaranteed when you're doing the runs either, so it was a really good job by Miinfin getting that done.
First try, pixel perfect. Yeah. And got the one tile up. Another yeeting room. Whee!
Alright, and this is that other spot coming in. Oh, no, sorry, I'm a couple of rooms off.
Yeah, it's right after this room, actually.
It's the next room. He's going to be doing another one of those shop music exploits.
I'm gonna take damage there, that's fine.
Alright,
okay.
we're almost done with this run.
Yep. We have about
before the boss room.
what? 2 rooms to go, and then the Phantom?
Yep.
If I can... Ninja, please. Alright.
We're on the home stretch here, Miinfin. So now as far as time, he's going to beat this boss and then it's going to go to a cutscene, and the time is going to end after the cutscene. So we're still another minute and a half away or so, roughly, depending on how this fight goes. Possibly 2 minutes.
Well,
We'll see.
we'll do it Levy style.
Tennis Master. So that's what you can do to make that really quick and easy. Ideally, though, if you can get to the wall behind Phantom before he throws the ball at you to begin with, you can actually basically just throw the ball right back at him, just like that. So that's actually a little bit faster, but the backup Tennis Master route, that's actually a really good strat to practice. And as long as he stays off the floor here, he can actually iframe through the lasers this entire cycle. Helps make sure that you're maintaining constant damage per second.
Did he just teleport to one of the masks? I have never done that before.
Yeah, I'm not even sure. That's one I'd have to go back and look at, to tell you the truth. Definitely looked a little odd.
Oh well. He's gonna be down here in just a minute anyway.
Yeah, he's toast.
There we go.
All right.
Cutscene time.
Yep, we got a final cutscene, and then after the cutscene, it'll be time as soon as the mask shatters.
there are any of the Bamboo crew watching, you know what we need to do. We need to do the thing. You know what to do when it comes time to do the thing. And for everybody who's not part of the Bamboo crew and runs this, what Samurai just did. The only other part in the game that requires matching, but you can never lose. So there is that.
Time will be coming up in approximately 10 seconds or so.
Now we do the messenger version of the Kamehameha.
And
3, 2, 1, and time.
GG's, excellently done.
So we came in quite a bit underestimate because I think I estimated 205. We did a 157.52. So not bad considering the deaths.
GG's Miinfin. So yeah, that was definitely a pretty long run. Unfortunately, we didn't have enough time to really go through a lot of the lore and the story. There's definitely a good bit of lore and story to this game, though. So I highly recommend to anybody out there, if you're on the fence about playing this game, try it. It's worth the playthrough. It's even more worth the speed run. Just the writing is very funny. There's a lot of good witty banter that you get to read throughout the game. The music is top notch. The gameplay is really good, really solid, really tight. Highly recommend this game one way or another. It is definitely worth giving it a shot.
With that being said, if you do want to come check us out, we are on speedrun.com. Just look up the messenger. There are links to the speedrun Discord there, and there are plenty of people there that can help you. I used to run a lot of this. I don't as much anymore, but if you enjoy watching speedruns for indie platformer Metroidvania type things, you can come find me about 3 days a week. I know Samurai runs a few other things there, but yeah, let's see what we can do for the remainder of this. We got, at least on my time, we still got another 20 minutes till midnight, so we can get about $2,000 in 20 minutes. It can be done. But still, we've raised a fantastic amount in memory of Only Kid for Trevor Projects. And let's keep it going.
Oh yeah, still got a whole nother day of this. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for donating. It's been a pleasure. I always have a fun time whenever I commentate on this game because there's just so much to talk about. So thank you all again for being out here. You're the only reason why this marathon is here, and we really hope to make sure that everybody can contribute in one way or another. It's anything that you can do is greatly appreciated, even if that's just watching and throwing a host on the channel.
So pass it off to Ghost Kuno here to finish things off, and otherwise y'all have a great night.
All right, thank you so much for your run, Miinfin. That was excellently played.
Thank you.
Coming up next, we have 100% Antechamber by Osmorn, so stay tuned. We're going to be